So, back for another VGC guide, and this time we are looking at Jumpluff, because I've managed to do every single brand new Pokemon, except for the Paradox and the Legends, but they are not allowed in Series 1. We're going back to Series for VGC. In Series 1, the very first format that there is going to be, you are not allowed the Paradox Pokemon, you are not allowed the Legends. So, I was right not to cover them, so I'm quite pleased with that. So, we'll get back to them when they are, or if they are, assuming when they are, back into the format. So, for now, I am now going to go through every single other Pokemon, because I've been enjoying making these. It's been pretty successful so far, so I am going to increase the challenge somewhat, because it did take a little bit less time than I expected. I'm going to attempt to go through every single Pokemon that's available in VGC. Quite a challenge, but here we are. Still going to go Pokedex order, so I've gone back to the actual, 400 Pokedex now. Jumpluff is going to be the first one that is not a new Pokemon, so obviously I'm going to skip the new Pokemon that I've already done. So Jumpluff is going to be first, and we will continue Pokedex order like this. So that's why we've got Jumpluff here first. It now gets access to Tailwind. It had not access to Tailwinds, had not got access to Tailwinds. Don't forget some words in sentences, they are key. It got Cotton Spore before. It still has Cotton Spore, but if you wanted speed control with your Jumpluff, you wanted to use Cotton Spore. It was mainly used in GS Cup, and I'm very surprised we never ever saw Cotton Spore. I get why we have Sleep Powder, Rage Powder, and Encore and all that stuff, but Speed Control in GS Cup was never used, and I don't know why. But now it gets access to Tailwinds, so much better than Cotton Spore, much more consistent. You're going to be able to set it up for multiple turns. They can't switch out of the speed control. They can't be immune by being a grass type. So now it gets some legitimate speed control that is going to be very good. So this is a nice buff for Jumpluff. It's still going to do exactly the same things it was doing previously. It's going to redirect with Rage Powder. It's going to click Sleep Powder, which is not the most consistent move, which makes it very annoying to play against. But it is definitely one of the stronger moves it gets access to, so you probably should. And then you round it off with an attacking move. You should generally try and have at least one attacking move in case you get taunted, then you just struggle. Pollen Puff is a good enough attacking move that it has enough utility to be used, because it can be basically a heal pulse into yourself. So that is worthwhile. Its attack stat and its special attack stat is just trash. There's no point trying to go for offense. You can maybe go for something like Leaf Storm. That is another option. This isn't an actual set to use. These are just recommended moves to use in place of one of those. Definitely keep Rage Powder. Guaranteed keep Rage Powder, but then the rest are technically up for grabs. You don't need to rely on Sleep Powder. You can run something else. You don't need Speed Control. You can go for Tailwinds. You can just sacrifice all attacking moves and have extra support. These are some of the ones I would recommend. You could go for the offense with Leaf Storm. If you do that, I would recommend going max special attack instead of max HP, but then that does reduce some of your bulk. Even though you're holding the Focus Sash, you're still going to be able to survive a couple of other hits reasonably well. There will be some 3-hit KOs on you if you have max HP, but there won't be if you have no HP. But then you're going to do okay damage with Leaf Storm. Probably don't recommend it over Pollen Puff though. Helping Hand is a great move paired with Redirection. Rage Powder, Helping Hand is a very good combination. Getting the damage reduction with Charm would be very good. And Encore is now going to be great again, because Dynamax is no longer a thing. Everything can be Encored, apart from the exceptions. But everything basically can be Encored. So it's going to be a great move as well, especially with the base 110 stat as well. This is a spread I recommend if you are not allowed I say not allowed. You already have the Focus Sash taken on your team and you still want Jumpluff, then I would recommend this Citrus Berry one. Outspeed's base 90s with this EV spread. I was debating going for Garchomp. If you want to do that, if you need to outspeed Garchomp, do this instead. Do that. But, doesn't really matter, because if you are going with a bulky Jumpluff, you actually might as well go with EVO-like Skiploom. Finally, we've got to an EVO-like Pokemon. Didn't get any of them in the brand new Pokemon, but here we are, EVO-likes. One of my favorite items ever. I've won 2 regional championships with 2 different EVO-like Pokemon. I won with the Togetic, I won with the Cottony. So EVO-like is one of my favorite items, and I do like using it. This is slightly bulkier than Jumpluff is. So if you wanted to be going with it, with the bulkier version of the Redirection, then I would recommend Skiploom over Jumpluff. You don't need any speed. It's got 80 as opposed to 110, so you're not going to outspeed things. You don't need to. You're just going to be bulking out with the EVO Light. You're going to be bulking yourself out even more with Strength Sap, which is going to be healing you. You're going to bulk yourself out with Leech Seed, which is going to be healing you, and doing consistent damage over time as well. So that would pair nicely with the extra bulk that Skiploom would have over Jumpluff. So I would recommend going with these moves on a Jumpluff and this set on a Skiploom. I wouldn't really change anything about this Skiploom, really, because you want to play into Skiploom's strength over Jumpluff, which is the extra bulk, so that you can actually win out games. The only other thing that I would potentially recommend is sacrificing Pollen Puff for Cotton Guard, and then you can like super commit to, actually this is an endgame win condition, I'm just not going to get taunted at all, and then, you know, if you don't get taunted, Leech Seed does damage, so you will eventually win. So you can do it in that way. If you are going with that as well, I probably should have changed this to Infiltrator, because if you are going full support like this, or even with the Pollen Puff, and they just set up a substitute in front of you, then you can no longer do anything. So Infiltrator will allow you to bypass substitutes, so you can still do all the Strength Sap and Leech Seed stuff that you will be able to do. So yeah, Skiploom should have Infiltrator. Should have changed that at the beginning. But yeah, this is a entirely viable Pokemon. I love Eviolite, and I love the viable Eviolite Pokemon. Definitely has its niche over Jumpluff, so I would strongly recommend this set / Pollen Puff. Or even actually, maybe even drop Rage Powder and not even Redirection, and then have this funny endgame that it could definitely win. And Pollen Puff is going to be good as well, because it hits the Grass type, so immune to the Leech Seed. So yeah, this is actually quite good. So I reckon B is pretty reasonable for Jumpluff / Skiploom, because if you're using a Redirection Pokemon, why aren't you using Mousehold? Why aren't you using Amoonguss or even Toedscruel? So, you know, probably because you want Tailwind, because Sleep Powder is less consistent than the spores that Amoonguss and Toedscruel could give you. So you'd probably want to be controlling Jumpluff. That means you want to go fast. That probably means you don't have room for much bulk, so you probably want Focus Sash. Go for Chlorophyll as well, so that you can outspeed a Lilligant. You can Tailwind in front of a Lilligant Torkoal, and then whatever is next to you can hopefully outspeed Lilligant in the Tailwind and do whatever it wants to. So Terra type being Ghost, like, it doesn't really matter. You're not really Terra typing your Jumpluff. This is to be immune to Fake Outs. That's it. Skiploom, normal type, because that's going to be one of the more difficult types to deal with if you are bulking yourself out, because only fighting types will hit it, and you can just not Terra and be resistant to fighting with your flying type anyway. So yeah, that's going to be it for Jumpluff and Skiploom, and now we have made the start on the journey for every single Pokemon, so wish me luck.